we stayed late at work. And crossed a line we could never uncross. It was one of those nights when the office felt almost sacred, silent, glowing, and heavy with things unsaid. The city outside blurred in the rain, neon lights shimmering through the glass walls. Inside, only two people remained. Evelyn sat at her desk, typing the final lines of a quarterly report, her tired eyes flicking toward the clock, 10:43 p.m. And across the room, behind a glass door that read Daniel Cole, Director of Operations, her boss sat, sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, gaze fixed not on his laptop, but on her. They'd worked late many times before, but tonight was different. The silence wasn't just professional, it was charged. Daniel had always been composed, charming, witty, and dangerously calm. The kind of man who made every word sound deliberate. Evelyn admired that about him, and feared it too. She wasn't new to attraction, but this? This was something else. Every time he walked past her desk, her heartbeat raced like it was betraying her. That night, Daniel finally stepped out of his office and leaned against her desk. "Still working, Evelyn?" Trying to finish before midnight, she said with a tired smile. "You always push yourself too hard." He said it softly, like a compliment wrapped in concern. Her lips curved slightly. "I could say the same about you." Their eyes met, and held, longer than they should have. A small laugh escaped him, and for a second, the world shrank to just the hum of the air conditioner and the rhythm of their breathing. Rain lashed harder against the windows. Thunder rolled. The storm outside felt like a mirror of what was building between them. Daniel glanced at the glass doors. "Looks like we're trapped here for a while." Evelyn shrugged. "Guess it's another long night." He smiled, stepping closer. "Could be worse. I've got good company." Her cheeks warmed, but she didn't look away. "Flattery, Mr. Cole?" "Observation, Ms. Lane." His tone, low, teasing, intimate, sent a quiet tremor through her. The lights flickered briefly, plunging the office into half-darkness. In that dim glow, their silhouettes blurred, no longer boss and employee, just a man and a woman standing too close. Evelyn's voice came out softer than she intended. "You should go home, Daniel." He took a breath, slow and steady. "If I do, I might regret it." Something unspoken hung there, fragile and magnetic. They moved back to their workstations, pretending to focus, but neither could concentrate. The air was too heavy, the distance too unbearable. Evelyn tried to distract herself by printing a report, but when the machine jammed, she groaned. Daniel walked over, laughing softly. "Let me," he said, reaching past her to fix the jam. Their hands brushed, a spark, electric and immediate. She froze. His breath touched her hair as he leaned closer. "Got it," he whispered, pulling the page free. But he didn't move back. Neither did she. "You always smell like vanilla," he murmured before realizing he'd said it aloud. She turned slowly, eyes meeting his, caught between shock and something deeper. "Daniel," she began. "I'm sorry," he said quickly, stepping back. That was inappropriate. But the apology didn't erase what had already shifted. The air between them was alive now, breathing on its own. An hour passed. The storm softened. But neither left. Evelyn gathered her files, trying to convince herself the night would end like every other, quietly, safely. But when she walked toward the exit, Daniel's voice stopped her. "Evelyn, wait." She turned. He looked almost vulnerable, a man torn between duty and desire. "I know this isn't right," he said. "But I can't ignore it anymore." Her pulse quickened. "Ignore what?" He took a step closer. "The way I feel when you walk into a room. The way I've tried to stay professional, and failed every single day." Evelyn's voice trembled. "You're my boss, Daniel. This could ruin everything." "Maybe," he whispered, eyes locked on hers. "But tonight, it feels like everything already changed." For a long, unbearable second, they just stood there, the sound of rain filling the silence between heartbeats. Then Evelyn did something she'd never planned. She stepped closer. Close enough to feel the warmth radiating from him. "If we cross this line," she said softly, "there's no going back." "I know," he breathed. And then, he kissed her. It wasn't reckless. It was slow, hesitant, the kind of kiss that begins with years of restraint finally giving way. The world outside disappeared. Papers scattered, a lamp flickered, and the office became their secret universe. Daniel's hands framed her face, his touch careful, reverent. Evelyn melted into him, every rational thought dissolving in the rush of something long denied. When they finally pulled apart, breathless, both knew what they'd done couldn't be undone. "We shouldn't have," she whispered, voice breaking. "Maybe not," he said softly, "but I don't regret it." Tears pricked her eyes, not of sadness, but of the overwhelming weight of it all. They never spoke of it again. The next morning, the office returned to its usual rhythm, emails, meetings, polite greetings. But behind every glance, there lingered that night. The kiss. The confession. The line crossed. Daniel stayed composed, but his eyes betrayed him every time they met hers across the room. Evelyn avoided his gaze, terrified someone might see what had changed. Weeks passed. Their work remained perfect. Their silence, even more so. But one night, after a long meeting, he slipped her a small note before leaving. "I still think about that night. Always will." Evelyn held the note in trembling hands, her heart torn between wanting more and protecting everything she'd built. A month later, Daniel called her into his office. He looked tired, almost haunted. "Evelyn, I've been offered a position overseas," he said quietly. "I'm taking it." Her heart sank. "Oh, when?" "Next week." Silence filled the room like fog. "Is it because of me?" she asked. He smiled sadly. "It's because of us." Her throat tightened. "So that night, it meant nothing?" He shook his head. "It meant everything. And that's exactly why I have to go." She wanted to hate him for it. Instead, she whispered, "Then at least say goodbye properly." And for one last time, he did. 3 years passed. Evelyn had climbed the corporate ladder, confident and admired, but something in her eyes always carried that night's memory. Then one afternoon, during a conference in London, she heard a familiar voice behind her. "You still wear vanilla perfume." Her heart stopped. She turned, and there he was. Daniel. Older, sharper, but the same warmth in his smile. "You disappeared," she said softly. "I had to," he replied. "But I never stopped thinking about you." They stood face to face again, the world buzzing quietly around them. "So, what now?" she asked. He smiled. "Maybe this time, we don't have to cross a line, because there isn't one anymore." She laughed through tears, and as the London rain began to fall outside, he reached for her hand. The story that began in a quiet office ended under an open sky, two people finally free to love without fear, without rules. Sometimes, crossing a line changes everything. And sometimes, it's the only way to find where you truly belong.